Hi, everybody. Thanks for the introduction. Silence always works, doesn't it? I was just chatting to the Premier, and he was telling me that a very entrepreneurial young lady came up to him earlier at our table here and gave him a pocket handkerchief and introduced the company, and that's got his attention. And I said to him that we sponsored the whole banquet, and hopefully we can get your attention as well. So, I'm Stephen Dean, and I'm founder and executive chair of Artemis Gold. And again, we have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Premier David Eby. I'd like to start by acknowledging we are gathering on the traditional territory of the Lheidli T'enneh First Nation and are honored at the opportunity to do so. Thank you, Chief Julian. In recent months, you've heard Premier Eby state that BC is positioned to be the economic engine of Canada going forward. And he has cited many of the major projects that are in advanced stages in BC as the driver of this potential. And many of these projects are led by those sitting in this room tonight. And I'm happy to say that at Artemis Gold, a Vancouver-based business whose largest owners are British Columbians, we are doing our part. I first attended this event 3 years ago, and I stood here representing Blackwater, a proposed mine waiting for its BC mines permits. The next year, we came back to tell you that we were almost halfway through construction. And last year, I was excited to report that the construction of phase 1 of our Blackwater project was complete. Well, I'm back for another update. And not only do I get to share that we achieved commercial production in Q2 of last year, as promised, but we're not done. Because in September of last year, we announced our phase 1A expansion, a plan to grow our throughput by a further 33% from 6 million tons of throughput capacity to 8 million tons at a capital investment of over $100 million. And just before the holidays, we announced a further investment of $1.44 billion for an expanded phase 2 development of the Blackwater mine that will see the mine grow to 21 million tons, a tripling of our phase 1 capacity. We call this expansion EP2, and at peak construction, EP2 will have over 1,500 workers focused on construction at the mine, and in addition, we'll have 1,200 employees and contractors needed for our operation. KPMG recently analyzed the economic benefits of Blackwater with EP2, and they expect that the total annual jobs created by the mine, including direct, indirect, and induced jobs, is in excess of 3,500 full-time jobs per year. The direct and indirect and induced economic activity is now expected to be over $26 billion over the life of the mine, including, Premier, $4 billion in BC taxes for the province and 2.7 for the other guys, the federals. Currently, 75% of our workforce is from BC and 25% identify as Indigenous, and we will strive to maintain similar stats or better as we continue to expand. I mention these stats not just to showcase Blackwater, but glad I numbered these pages. But more importantly, the power of the natural resources sector to drive prosperity and the future for our communities here in British Columbia. Our progress couldn't be possible without the strong partnerships we are privileged to have with the Indigenous nations whose traditional territories are the home to the Blackwater Mine, the Luscootenay and the Algacho First Nations, the leadership of whom are with us tonight. And I'd also like to acknowledge the Ngadli-Wuten, Sycus, and Salatin and Nazca First Nations, who we partner with in connection with other aspects of the mine, including the power line and the road that connects us to the mine. Thank you for being here, and I'd like you to raise your hands and be identified. Thank you. We'd like to thank Premier Eby and Minister Bra, who's also here tonight, for your support of the Blackwater Mine and for attending our mine opening last year, again helping to highlight the value it brings to the region and to BC. And we look forward to continuing to work with your team to support the requirements for the much-needed expansion, the BC Hydro team within your Crown Corporation in the coming months to secure the power we need for EP2. This is the 4th consecutive year that Premier Eby has joined us at the opening banquet, and 13th year that the BC Premier has attended the BC Natural Resources Forum. Premier, I know you're well familiar with the perils of the democratic process. And there's always the risk that we won't be able to do this again next year. However, I remain hopeful that my Artemis Gold shareholders will re-elect me as chair again next year, and our tradition will continue. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our keynote speaker for the evening, Premier David Eby.